Two people using the exact same AI tool get completely different results. One person types a simple question and gets a mediocre generic answer. The other person spends 30 extra seconds structuring their request and gets something so good they use it almost word for word. The difference? Prompt engineering. It sounds technical. It's not. It's a learnable skill. Part communication, part psychology, part systematic thinking. And once you have it, you unlock a completely different tier of capability from every AI tool you touch. This video is a practical masterclass. Real techniques, real examples, stuff you can use today. Let me start by explaining why this matters as much as it does. AI language models are trained to predict what should come next given a sequence of text. They're pattern matchers of extraordinary sophistication, trained on essentially all of human writing. What that means is, the context you give them shapes everything about what they generate. Think of it like talking to a brilliant but literal-minded expert. If you walk up to a master chef and say, "Make me something," you'll get whatever they feel like making. If you say, "I need a 30-minute weeknight dinner, mostly pantry ingredients, nothing spicy for 2 adults and 1 kid who hates vegetables," you'll get something dramatically more useful. The model is always trying to figure out what kind of response would make the most sense here. Your prompt is the primary signal it has for answering that question. The clearer, richer, and more specific your prompt, the better it can calibrate. This isn't a limitation that will go away as AI improves. Even the most capable future models will benefit from clear, well-structured prompts. The skill compounds over time. Let's start with the basics, the components that separate a mediocre prompt from a solid one. Role, persona, tell the AI who or what it should be for this interaction. Act as an experienced financial analyst. You are a seasoned criminal defense attorney. You are a senior software engineer reviewing code. This frames the entire response, the vocabulary, the assumptions, the level of depth. Task clarity. State exactly what you want done. Vague requests produce vague answers. Write a blog post about productivity is vague. Write a 1,000-word blog post about the Pomodoro technique for knowledge workers who struggle with distraction in open offices. Using a practical, direct tone with specific actionable tips is specific. Context. Give the model the background it needs. The more relevant context you provide, the more tailored the output. If you're asking for help responding to a client email, paste the email. If you're asking for marketing copy, describe your product, target audience, and what differentiates you. Format. Tell it how you want the output structured. Give me this as a bulleted list. Use headers to organize the sections. Write this as a table. Keep the entire response under 200 words. Format instructions prevent you from getting a wall of text when you wanted a quick summary. Examples. This is one of the most underused techniques. Showing the model an example of what good output looks like is often more effective than describing it. Here's an example of the tone I'm going for. Example lets the model pattern match to something concrete. Once you have the fundamentals, these are the techniques that take your prompting to the next level. Chain of thought prompting. For complex reasoning tasks, explicitly instruct the model to think step by step before giving you an answer. Think through this step by step before answering. This dramatically improves accuracy on math problems, logical reasoning, multi-step analysis, and any task that requires structured thought. It forces the model to show its work in a way that catches errors early. Few-shot prompting. Give the model multiple examples of input-output pairs before your actual question. Here are 3 examples of the key ND of analysis I need. Example 1, example 2, example 3. Now do the same for this, your actual input. This calibrates the model's behavior far better than instructions alone. The take your time instruction. For difficult tasks, explicitly tell the model not to rush. Take your time, think carefully, and give me your best analysis. This sounds almost too simple, but it measurably improves output quality on complex tasks. Constraint injection. One of the most powerful prompting moves is adding specific constraints. Do not mention X. Avoid jargon. Do not use bullet points. Do not suggest solutions that require significant upfront capital. Constraints force the model to be creative within boundaries, which often produces much more useful and specific results. Self-consistency. For high-stakes decisions or analysis, ask the model to answer the same question multiple times or from multiple angles and then synthesize. Answer this question 3 times using different reasoning approaches, then identify which answer you're most confident in and why. Critique and revision loop. After getting an initial output, ask the model to critique its own answer. What are the weakest parts of this response? What assumptions did you make that might be wrong? Now rewrite it with those weaknesses addressed. This iterative refinement process often produces much better final outputs than a single-shot prompt. Understanding system prompts is crucial for anyone building on top of AI or using tools where you control the configuration. A system prompt is the persistent instruction that frames the entire conversation. It runs before your first message and stays active throughout. When you use a custom AI assistant configured for a specific purpose, the system prompt is what gives it its personality, constraints, and focus. A well-crafted system prompt includes the role and persona, the scope of what it should and shouldn't address, the tone and communication style, any relevant background knowledge, and specific formatting preferences. The context window is the total amount of text the model can see at once, both what you've written and what it's generated. Older models had small context windows, 4,000 to 8,000 tokens. Modern frontier models have massive context windows of 128,000 tokens or more. Gemini 1.5 Pro goes up to 1 million tokens. This matters for prompting because you can now provide much more background context without worrying about pushing old information out of the model's attention. For complex projects, you can paste entire documents, multiple code files, or a long conversation history, and the model holds it all in scope. Let me run through the mistakes I see most often, because knowing what not to do is as valuable as knowing what to do. Being too vague. The single most common mistake. Write something about my business tells the model almost nothing. Be specific every single time. Asking multiple unrelated things at once. Tell me about the history of the internet. Write me a poem and create a diet plan in one prompt will produce a scattered mediocre result for all 3. Break complex requests into focused individual prompts. Accepting the first output, especially for high-quality work, writing, analysis, strategy, the first draft is rarely the best. Follow up with refinements. Make this more concise. Add more specific examples. The second paragraph is weak. Rewrite it. Not using the conversation history. The model remembers everything in the current conversation. You don't have to repeat yourself. Build on previous outputs. Based on the analysis you just gave me, now help me draft a plan to address the top 3 risks. Treating AI like a search engine. Typing short, keyword-based queries produces keyword-based results. Treat it like a conversation with a knowledgeable collaborator. Full sentences, context, nuance. Over-relying on AI for factual claims. Language models can be confidently row-ing, especially about specific facts, recent events, or obscure topics. Always verify factual claims that matter. Use AI for reasoning, writing, and structure, not as a primary source of facts. Let me give you a complete workflow you can use for any serious task. Step 1. Define the goal. What exactly do you need? What does success look like? Step 2. Set the context. Role, background, any relevant information the model needs to know. Step 3. Give the task with constraints. Be specific. Include format, length, tone, what to avoid. Step 4. Use examples if you have them. Even one good example dramatically improves calibration. Step 5. Request step-by-step thinking for complex tasks. Don't let it skip straight to an answer. Step 6. Evaluate the output critically. Where is it weak? What did it miss? Step 7. Iterate, refine, ask for revisions, push for better. The whole process might take 5 minutes instead of 1, and produce output that saves you an hour of work on the back end. Prompt engineering is not a niche skill for developers. It's a practical communication skill that everyone who uses AI tools should develop. And the good news is, it's learnable, it's immediately applicable, and the returns compound every time you use it. If this was useful, like and subscribe. I put out practical AI skill-building content every week. Drop a comment with the most useful prompting technique you already use. Let's share what's actually working. See you next week.